Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Wednesday. Happy Hump Day and happy opening day. Part one of three to all on this Wednesday. Thanks so much for being with us for the next 3 hours here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. And, of course, on our video streaming channels, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, WIBW News on Facebook. However, wherever, whenever you're tuning into the program today, thanks so much for being a part of 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuy will be along in a bit. Brendan Dworzynski is off today. It is tonight the start of the Major League Baseball season. And, of course, it's just for two teams, the New York Yankees and the San Francisco Giants. And it's on Netflix. So you're going to have a Netflix subscription if you want to watch it. And then everybody else opens up on Thursday, right? We have one great big, okay, fine. You got one made for TV opening day, made for streaming opening day, whatever. That's cool. Everybody else opens Thursday, right? Right? No. There are 6 teams that wait until Friday to open their seasons, one of whom, of course, is the Kansas City Royals. So that leaves us with 3 opening days. And you know I love to celebrate baseball. You know I'm excited as anybody that the only sport that matters is back. But why we got 3 opening days, man? Why are we doing this? I mean, at least we're playing the first game that matters on U.S. soil, right? And I know that comes off as a little xenophobic, but, like, I don't like when the first game of the season is at 4 a.m. Central Time because you're playing out in Tokyo or Seoul or wherever. I like the American game in the American League, Major League Baseball, not literally the American League, you know what I mean, opening their season in the United States. I guess you could open in Canada. You want to play the first game in Toronto, that's fine. But we got 3 different opening days. We got opening day for 2 teams tonight. You got opening day for 22 teams on Thursday. And then Friday, you got opening day for 6 teams, but nobody plays during the day. There's no day baseball on Friday. It's ridiculous. It's not really opening day at all. Drives me crazy. Among the many things that drive me crazy about America's pastime. But baseball is here. There will be a game tonight. And the Royals announced their 26-man roster today. We're just 2 days away from a real Royals game in Atlanta against the Braves. Well, with the baseball season starting today, we better get our predictions on paper or into the ether, into the on record, probably a better way to say it. So that's what we're going to do today. We have our Major League Baseball predictions for 2026. I'll give you mine. Rest of the crew will give you theirs later on in the show. We'll talk about that Royals 26-man roster and continue our countdown to opening day. Plenty of baseball to get to on the show on this Wednesday. Also, it's a Wednesday, which means it's Mock Draft Wednesday. That's right. Mock Draft Wednesday is back today. We've got 5 of them we're going to take a look at today, including the vast difference, the growing difference between the thought process behind mock drafts being done by people who cover the Chiefs and the mock drafts being done by people who are just national writers and don't cover the Chiefs. And the gulf in understanding that exists between people who know how the Chiefs feel about their offensive line going into 2026 and people who think the Chiefs are going to draft a tackle number 9 overall. A right tackle number 9 overall. The gulf keeps widening, and it becomes more and more pointed. But in the drafts we'll look at today, some new names to discuss, including one that we really haven't said much about as a first-round talent at wide receiver. But as much as there's been talk about Carnell Tate and even Mekhi Lemon to an extent, might be time to reintroduce a third wide receiver into the conversation of pass catchers that the Chiefs might consider at number 9 overall. So Mock Draft Wednesday is coming up a little bit later on in the show. We'll do that in the 4 o'clock hour. We have 2 great guests on the program today. Bottom of the 4 o'clock hour, as usual on a Wednesday, It's Tim Fitzgerald of GoPowerCat.com. Well, plenty to talk to Fitz about. He just recently sat down with the new basketball coach, Casey Alexander, for an episode of his podcast. So we'll ask him about the early impressions that Casey Alexander is making in Manhattan. Also, Colin Klein spoke to the media today. Spring workouts are underway for K-State football and Colin Klein's first team. So we'll get Fitz's impressions of what he's hearing and what Coach Klein had to say earlier on today. Tim Fitzgerald, GoPowerCat.com. Coming up at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. That, of course, is our Tall Grass Windows Indoors Wildcat Wrap-Up. And coming up at the bottom of this hour, be pleased to be joined by Jeremy Holaday, who is the Assistant Executive Director of the Kansas High School Sports Activities Association, which you better know, and we refer to for brevity's sake as KSHSAA. Been a bit of news lately about the Kansas state legislation maybe considering imposing some restrictions upon KSHSAA member schools. Well, there's been a development as far as that goes, but to be clear, KSHSAA had nothing to do with the amendment. But the text of the amendment is also contained within the agenda for next month's KSHSAA Board of Directors meeting. So we're going to talk to Jeremy about the disputed amendment, and we're going to talk to him about the process that will take place at the Board of Directors meeting. Also, some other things that are going to be discussed at next month's Board of Directors meeting, and we'll gauge the response, what the KSHSAA has heard, and how they have felt about the first year of the new state basketball format. Looking forward to having Jeremy on the program coming up here in about 20-25 minutes or so. So we got all that and our typical Wednesday shenanigans. We'll play One Gotta Go. We got 580 Sports Talk headlines, another round of What Is Wrong With You, and your commentary on the show today as well is always invited and encouraged. Hit me up on the text line. 785-272-9429 is the text line number. That is 785-272-9429. 785-272-9429 to text the show. Also, if you're watching along on our YouTube channel today, 580 Sports Talk, first of all, welcome. Appreciate you, Andrew and Ryan and Vance and JB and everybody else who will join us as we go along today. You guys are a laugh riot early on. The chat's in good form early on this Wednesday. Vance wants to know if Bobby Witt Jr. made the 26-man roster for the Royals that was released earlier today. Yes, he did. The kid made it. The America's shortstop stuck. He had a good camp, made a good impression, and he's going to be back in there at the 6 on opening day. JB jokes when I complained about no day baseball on Friday, the Royals version of opening day. JB jokes, Dan, just admit you wanted Friday off. Look, that would have been greedy of me. I already get Monday off for the Royals home opener. Getting Friday off would have felt a little greedy, but that is always a perk of Royals Day baseball. It's a little bit less of, I get to watch the baseball and then come and talk about it with you. I always kind of enjoy that. So anyhow, appreciate everybody in the chat today. Mark H is in as well. Good to see you, and look forward to hearing from more of you. Again, the chat is live on our YouTube stream. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not done so. And hop in that chat, say hello, and introduce yourself, and interact with your fellow listeners and your hosts as we go along today. There is baseball tonight. Yankees, Giants in San Francisco. Game will be broadcast exclusively on Netflix. It sounds like it's going to be a total mess of a broadcast. They've got like 10 people in the booth. They're doing a whole studio show beforehand. Jameis Winston is involved for some reason that I cannot quite come up with. The Usos from WWE, I don't know what they've got to do with baseball, but they're going to be there. Thing from Wednesday is going to throw out the first pitch. I'm not making that up. I know it sounds like I'm making all this up. I'm not. It absolutely sounds like it is going to be a broadcast catering entirely to people that have a Netflix subscription and go, ooh, baseball, interesting. And not, I love baseball. I guess I'll turn the Netflix on because that's where the baseball is. I guess I'll scroll through my profile and watch this baseball tonight on Netflix. Don't think the broadcast is for us. Okay? I don't think it's for us seam heads. I don't think it's even really for us sports fans. I think it's for just the sake of making the first game of the year feel like a special event. We'll see how Netflix does. Again, given the guest list, I'm not exactly enthusiastic about how their first broadcast is going to go. And that's before you get to the fact that the play-by-play announcer is Matt Vasgersian, who is a really good video game baseball announcer. And I don't entirely mean that as a compliment. Anyhow, that's tonight. Then 22 other teams open tomorrow, and then 6 teams will open on Friday. The Royals are one of those. But if there are going to be games today, that means, well, game, singular, that means we better make some predictions for what this Major League Baseball season is going to bring us. And like I said on yesterday's show, I think a vast majority of the league, 24 out of 30 teams, can start their seasons feeling like, hey, you know what? If we're healthy, we get some young talent that breaks out, we could realistically go to the playoffs. We could realistically be one of the 6 teams in our league that make the playoffs. And all you've got to do is get in because, like I said, anybody can win 13 games in a month. Even against other really good competition, anybody can win 13 out of, let's do the math on this, 3 games, 5 games is 8, 7 and 7 is 14, 13 out of 22. Anybody can win 13 out of 22. Even the teams that aren't good enough to realistically dream of making the playoffs could very well have a stretch during their season where they win 13 out of 22 games. That's how attainable it is. All you got to do is get in. And I know that in retrospect, it has felt the last 2 years like the big, bad, baseball ruining Los Angeles Dodgers have been inevitable champions. And they were down 2-1 in a best of 5 to San Diego 2 years ago. And they were down to their final 2 outs in the World Series last year. All Jeff Hoffman has to do is not hang a slider to the Dodgers' worst hitter. And the Dodgers are not the defending champions as we convene a 2026 Major League Baseball season. I say all that to say this. Embrace the possibility of the unpredictability of this 2026 season. Because when I tried to put together predictions for this year, I agonized. And that was just who I'm picking to win the American League. And I'm coming way out of left field with my American League champion pick, by the way. Just a mini spoiler alert. But I agonized over it because there are a lot of teams you don't have to squint to see making a run. Teams that have the kinds of pieces that you'd really like to have come October, come a short series. And are the Royals one of those teams? I think you can argue yes. It may depend on how things develop throughout this season, but what plays in October? Ace at the top of the rotation that gives you a chance to feel really good about 2 out of 5 games in a series, or 1 out of 3 games in a series, or maybe even 3 out of 7. Do the Royals have a guy like that? They sure do have a guy like that. The Royals hit the ball over the fence. I think this team is going to hit the ball over the fence more than a lot of Royals teams in history, and not just because the fences are moving in at their home ballpark. I think this team's got real, legitimate power upside to it. So, yeah, the things that play in October, I think the Royals have a chance to have those things. But they've got to get there first. Helping their cause is that they are in a division with only one other serious baseball team, one other serious contender. Now, Cleveland will be all right. I don't think Cleveland's going to be a total mess. I don't think they're going to lose 90 games. But I'm not sure I see them winning more than they lose. Not sold on their pitching staff, their lineup outside of Jose Ramirez. Chase DeLauder looks like a star. Maybe Travis Bazzana comes up and lights it up when they call him up for the minor leagues ultimately. But don't think that's a winning baseball team. I'm certain that Minnesota does not want to be a winning baseball team, and I don't think Chicago is ready to be a winning baseball team just yet. So there you have it. It's Kansas City, and it's Detroit. It's a 2-horse match race from this week all the way through the end of September for the American League Central. And the case against the Royals is really the big case for the Tigers. Only one of those teams went and added a difference maker this offseason, and it was Detroit. They went and got Framber Valdez. They went and got a proven, top of the rotation, playoff-tested, rubber-armed starting pitcher. And they needed one. They maybe needed one a little bit more than the Royals did. But they went out and they got a real difference maker. They got a guy who you feel like, all right, this guy helps our chances to win a championship. The Royals added some fine pieces on the margins this season, but they did not go out and add a guy that is going to feel like a difference maker when September and the pennant race rolls around, when October potentially rolls around. The hope is that they have one of those guys on the roster, that Jack Caglione can be that guy. That's the bet. That's one of many big bets the Royals are placing this season. And as bets go, it's not a terrible one. There have certainly been worse ones. Last year, the bet was on MJ Melendez. I still think Cags is a little better. And remember, I was the only guy still holding MJ Melendez stock when opening day hit last year. And you saw how that went for me. I lost everything. I lost everything in the great MJ Melendez stock crash of 2025. But the fact remains that Detroit was better than Kansas City last year and went and added a difference maker where the Royals did not. And if you look at the Royals roster and say, hey, man, they got some young talent that they're calling up, and these guys could detonate. Caglione, Carter Jensen. Year 2 for Noah Cameron could be better than year 1. Some young, exciting relief talent could come up this year and impact. Luinder Avila, Dennis Colleran. And that's all well and good. And I believe in that young talent. I do. Detroit's got that too, though, is the thing. Their opening day shortstop is a young man named Kevin McGonigal that you are going to be hearing a lot about, and he's going to be a thorn in everybody's side because you don't often predict a guy's going to hit 300 or win batting titles in the bigs because nobody hits 300 anymore, and it's hard to win batting titles, plural. But if you would predict anybody as a rookie to be that kind of player in their career, it's this guy, Kevin McGonigal, and he's not alone. Max Clark is probably going to get the call, another former first-round pick who's got a ton of talent, is probably going to impact that Detroit lineup at some point. And more at-bats for those guys means fewer at-bats for guys who aren't real good, like, for instance, Javier Baez. So Detroit's got what Kansas City's got. And Detroit went out and made the difference-making addition that Kansas City stopped short of making in the offseason. And so the Royals enter 2026 as a flawed team. They are still, even if Caglione is as good as we think he can be, even if Carter Jensen is a Rookie of the Year candidate, still think this Royals team is a bat short, probably in left field. And I like Isaac Collins, but I like him a lot more as a fourth outfielder who give you some on-base skills and some defense than I do a day-to-day cog in the offense. I think Jonathan India could take a step forward. I think the young guys could all get better. I think an Isbell Thomas platoon in center field is going to be much more offensively productive without losing anything defensively. But it still feels like the Royals are a bat short. Now, if Caglione's a superstar, like 35 homers, 100 runs driven in, and Jensen is the Rookie of the Year, those guys hit like 90th percentile expectations, then they're not a bat short. But that's a hard thing to bet on. They still feel a bat short to me. And if Carlos Estevez' fastball doesn't come back, and maybe even if it does, it might be an arm short in the bullpen as it currently stands too. Now, it's the funny thing about bullpens. You never really know. HDH is not the expectation. That is not the norm. You don't just roll 3 of the best relievers in baseball out for the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning and do it year over year over year. There's a lot more fluctuation in performance. I think this bullpen looks like it could be good on paper. It might even be excellent. What if it's not? What if the 9th inning is a lot shakier than it was last year because Estevez isn't as good? He's not able to ride his luck the same way he did last year. So those are real concerns that the Royals are going to have to address and may have to address with a move or two as the season goes on. But you know what the Royals do have? They got the best player in the division, a top 3 player in all of baseball. And he leads the way for a young core that could have improvement ahead of it. Not just Cags and Jensen. Vinny Pasquantino was a much better hitter. If he consolidates his gains from the second half of last season, and he's that hitter for a full season, he's one of the most productive bats in the American League. If Michael Garcia did it again. Sorry, Mikey. I got to call him Mikey like J.J. Piccolo and Matt Quatrero do. Michael Garcia, if he consolidates his gains from last season, I think he could get even better. I think he could hit 300 and add some power with the fences coming in this year. It's an exciting, young, talented group of position players, and it contributes to having more lineup depth than they've had. This is not going to be a year where, oh boy, if it doesn't happen 1 through 5 in the order, 6 through 9, go ahead and take a bathroom break. Because you know what 6 through 9 in the lineup were the last couple of years for the Royals? You know what we called that? 0 for 16. 1 for 14 with a walk. It wasn't pretty. I think this lineup's a lot deeper. Even if it's short of bat, it's still deeper than it has been. And they have the ability to platoon better than they have and get some more advantageous matchups with guys like Collins, the switch hitter, and Lane Thomas and Starling Marte on the roster. You know what else the Royals have? I mentioned him earlier. A bona fide ace at the top of their rotation. Ignore the ERA from last year. Ignore the spring training ERA. Cole Reagans is Himothy. He's so good. He is so good. And if he is healthy, he will remind you of it every single time he takes the ball. And there is bona fide depth to start the season. Not depth that the Royals are going to have to cobble together as the season goes along with trades in June and July. Bona fide organizational depth at starting pitcher and the know-how to use it. The Royals, with all of the injuries, all the difficulties they had last year, still put together a top 10 pitching staff in baseball. That's how well coached they are on that side. But ultimately, why am I picking the Royals to win the American League Central? I'm riding with the vibes. The vibes are too good. Vibes matter over 162 games, over a long summer, over the dog days. And this is not to say that the Detroit Tigers do not have some good vibes. I mean, Javier Baez is a great vibes guy in that clubhouse. But everything feels really good for the Royals. Their confidence feels good. Their camaraderie feels good. They are all collectively riding the high of how their best players performed in the World Baseball Classic. And they are ready to ride that good time into a summer of good times at Kauffman Stadium. I'm riding the vibes. I'm riding a Jack Caglione breakout. I'm riding 30 starts for Cole Reagans. And I'm riding all that to 88 wins for the Kansas City Royals and an American League Central championship. That's my pick. 88 wins for the Royals and a division title. I think the other division champs in the AL will be Seattle and Baltimore. Yeah, I know Baltimore finished last year, but they rebuilt their pitching staff. Last year, it was probably the worst starting rotation in that division. This year, it won't be that. They actually got like credible starting pitchers on that team this year, and that will bolster what I still think is a young and exciting lineup. And they added Pete Alonso. Great vibes. So I like Baltimore to win the East. New York, Boston, Detroit, my wild cards in the AL. Yankees have Judge. They're going to get Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon back midsummer. Boston's got a great rotation and some really talented young players. Detroit's Detroit. I think they'll finish a game back at KC. 87 wins. Those are my American League playoff teams. In the National League, stunner, I'm picking the Dodgers to win the West. I'm going with the Cubs and the Mets as my other division winners. My wild card teams are Philadelphia, San Diego, and my one surprise team in the National League. I think Pittsburgh sneaks in. I don't think it's going to take much in the National League. It's a whole bunch of 83, 84 win kind of teams. I think having Paul Skeens and a whole bunch of other really big-time arms like Bubba Chandler and Jason Jones on that team, I think Pittsburgh's going to sneak in. I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to snag a wild card. I'm going with the O's in the American League over Seattle. Everybody's picking Seattle. And everybody who isn't picking Seattle is picking the Yankees. Why am I not picking Seattle and the Yankees? Because I'm not picking Aaron Judge in the playoffs, and I'm not picking the Mariners to win anything because they've never won anything. They're going to have to win something for me to ever pick them to win something. So Baltimore it is. Well, Dan, what have they won? Something in their history. They won it all in 83. That's more than Seattle ever did. Won it in 70, right? I'll go Baltimore in the American League. I'm going with the Mets over the Dodgers in the NL. I think their pitching depth. I think the Dodgers are going to wear out a little bit. 2 straight titles, hard to win 3 in a row. They got an older team. I think they're going to wear out a little bit in October. I think they'll wear themselves out. And I am taking the New York Mets to win the World Series over the Baltimore Orioles. We're going to party like it's 1969 this October. My MVP picks for the record, Bobby Witt Jr. and Shohei Ohtani. Cy Young picks, Boston's Garrett Crochet and Philadelphia's Christopher Sanchez. My rookie of the years, rookies of the year, J.J. Weatherholt from St. Louis, Kevin McGonigal from Detroit. What do you think? 785-272-9429 is the number. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube is the live chat. We'll hear from you next. We're just getting started on 580 Sports Talk. .334, just getting started here on 580 Sports Talk. Andrew likes Carter Jensen as the Rookie of the Year in the American League. Says it's plus 600 odds wherever he's looking to get Jensen as the Rookie of the Year. He's got a shot, especially if he catches a bunch. I think that would help his cause if he's more catcher than DH, which we'll see how the Royals play that. Christopher predicts the Royals win the division and Cole Reagan celebrates by eating Kerry Carpenter's heart on television. Metaphorically, I hope, not literally. I'd feel weird watching that in a literal sense. Vance wants to know if my beloved Colorado Rockies are going to improve this season. Brother, they can't get worse. They lost 119 games last season. They almost can't get worse. They'll improve. I'll predict they won't lose 100 games. I'll predict they win 63. I don't know how they're going to get there. Probably more realistic they win like 55, 56, but they won't get worse. I will tell you that. I'll go with they will improve. They will not get worse. Text from the 785. Jealous of your job when the Royals are good. Would hate it when they're 20 games out by the end of April. Look, man, I've lived it both ways, right? That 56 and 106 is not that long ago. 2023 was not that long ago. That was not a lot of fun. I remember sitting behind this microphone trying to get people excited about Glenn Sparkman, right? Like, that's tough. That's tough sledding. Thankfully, this team is better. They got better talent. They got much better vibes. I do think they're going to win the Central. I think it's going to be tight all year, but I think they're going to find a way. They're going to bust the new fences at the K. I think Reagans and Bubich are both in it for the long haul. And I think that they'll eke it out by a game. 88 wins. It's my Royals prediction. 88 wins. Want to know how many you think they'll win? 785-272-9429 is the number. You can also interact in the live chat on 580 Sports Talk on the YouTube channel. Christopher wants to know how far ahead of Minnesota do I think Chicago finishes? Those two teams are going to bring up the rear. I don't know. Chicago's roster is still not very good. I still think Minnesota might finish ahead of them. They've got Joe Ryan and Byron Buxton still. That ought to be good for, 70 wins, 71. I still don't think Chicago's going to get out of the 60s just yet, but they're moving in the right direction. We're taking time out. After this break, Jeremy Holaday, Assistant Executive Director at KSHSAA, will join me. KSHSAA's been in the news lately. They got a board of directors meeting coming up next month. We're going to talk about that. We're going to get their reaction to how the first year of the new state basketball format shook out, and a whole lot more with Jeremy. Looking forward to this conversation next on 580 Sports Talk. Welcome back into 580 Sports Talk, 3:39 on this Wednesday afternoon. Bit of news broke last night that a proposed amendment in the Kansas legislature to Senate Bill 515, which would have expanded quiet times, moratoriums on no sports or activities in the state of Kansas on calendars at public and private schools across the state. The amendment introduced was added to the Senate bill. That amendment has since been removed from SB 515 as of earlier this week. So the amendment itself will not be part of whether or not Senate Bill 515 passes or not. But because that is germane to something that is coming up on KSHSAA's agenda for their board of directors meeting next month, wanted to talk about it with the Assistant Executive Director of KSHSAA, Jeremy Holaday, who joins us now on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Jeremy, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Pleasure to be with you, Dan. I hope everybody's well there. Just across the hill. I'm looking over the hill, and I think I can see if I look good enough.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, your office is not a whole lot, not really too far from our offices here up on Huntoon Hill. So walk me through the reaction, if you can, as much as you can, at those KSHSAA offices when this amendment, which would have proposed a moratorium on sporting events or activities Sundays and Wednesday nights after 6 p.m. from September to the end of April. An amendment that is on the agenda for discussion at the upcoming Board of Directors meeting was all of a sudden now part of Senate Bill 515. Were you as surprised? Was there surprise from KSHSAA that this had now entered the Kansas State Legislature's discussion and their sphere of influence?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, SB 515 came about approximately the week before state basketball happened, and it had the bill in itself, as it was introduced, was not something the association supported. So we were ready to provide oppositional testimony at the hearing, and then a week later, we got wind, hey, it's going to go to the floor. And what happened a week later, Dan? We were all at state basketball, right? So, I'm sitting courtside at Emporia State watching a state basketball game, and we get wind that, hey, they're going to talk about it today, and there's a potential amendment coming. So I'm reading closed captioning, watching the Senate floor hearing on my computer while watching state basketball, trying to do my job there. And yeah, when that amendment was proposed, it was quite perplexing. And the beauty of being at state basketball was immediately I went to school administrators that were in attendance and coaches and asked them what their thoughts were about this amendment. And there was not a single person that felt like that was a good idea. And where I was, we had a couple religious private schools actually playing. So that was good feedback from them as well. So surprising, I guess, to answer your question for sure. And it's something that we've tried to be tuned in with our school administrators to help them understand what this would mean. And so we will help them out to try to oppose this where we can. And I think the conversations we've had with individuals in our schools and our state legislators eventually led to a good decision last night to pull that off the docket.
So I'm looking at the text of the proposed modification from the upcoming agenda for next month's Board of Directors, KSHSAA Board of Directors meeting. And it proposes three different things, three different moratoriums in effect. There is an Easter moratorium, which would begin on 6 p.m. the Thursday before Easter, running through the duration of Easter Sunday, a Sunday moratorium, and a Wednesday evening moratorium, which would be in effect after 6 p.m. all Wednesdays from September until the end of April. It's been submitted by Father Daniel Dooling, who is a member of the Diocese Member School Advisory Committee through KSHSAA. I understand that the supporters of the proposal are in favor of this moratorium to give athletes more time with their families, more time to participate in church-related events, events that have to do with their faith. What was some of the feedback you got about what some of the things were that would have been maybe unintended consequences of this amendment and maybe this moratorium?
Yeah, we actually had a group together today to discuss the Board of Directors agenda coming up. We do a preview with our member schools to make sure they understand what's on the docket. And some concerns that were raised were, fine arts. Wednesday is used as a fine arts day. They don't get the attention they deserve very often as far as facilities and just participation compared to sports. So Wednesdays is a great day for them. So that's one thing that gets thrown out. The second thing that was, in our metro areas were on the call that they wondered, okay, so what do we do for the other religious holidays that are clearly not being considered here? And they have a large student population that fall under those. So they're concerned about, religious discrimination is involved there. And so they're raising those type of concerns. And then, I was just looking at, we got an email today from an individual that assigns officials to work games. And he said, if you eliminate Wednesdays, we will be eliminating sub-varsity games and other sports. Because what would happen is you only have a certain amount of officials. And we're doing a good job with officials. Let me have an interlude there real quick. We're doing a good job and our numbers are looking good. But you do only have a certain amount. And if you eliminate a whole day of a week that you could potentially play, then now you're stacking those games on other days and you don't have enough officials. So if your thought is kids and having them do what they want to do, we would eliminate a lot of opportunities for students that will not be able to take place anymore because it just can't happen. There's not enough bandwidth to go around if you eliminate a whole day of the week. So those are some concerns that our schools have, and I think they've been pretty consistent since the state legislature proposed it a couple weeks ago, and since then the board of directors agenda item has been introduced by a constituent for our board of directors as well.
Jeremy Holaday is the Assistant Executive Director of KSHSAA, joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. So next month, there's a Board of Directors meeting, and on the agenda is discussion about these proposed moratoriums. What is the process by which this has been introduced, how it will be discussed, and then what happens from that point on? Walk us through the process by which this will be discussed. It's no longer a matter of the state legislature. How will KSHSAA treat the matter, and how will the discussion unfold?
It's a great, I'm glad you asked it, because I would love to just shine some light on. This is a great example of how the democratic process works within the association, because we do have an avenue for change if our schools want to see the change. What you saw from the state legislature was not that avenue. That was not the process of change within the association. But now you're seeing this same item, for the most part, come through our process of change with the board of directors. So it gets proposed through an avenue of which our governance allows. And then so now our board of directors, a 75-member board, will come to Topeka, and they will discuss the item to decide if it's a legitimate thing that our schools need to implement. And then they will vote on it. And then if it does have a majority vote that night in April, then it would go into effect the next school year.
Also on the agenda for April's Board of Directors meeting is discussion for the possibility of creating flag football as a KSHSAA activity beginning with the 2026-27 school year as a girls' sport. Take me through how this got to this point in the process and what kind of feedback you've heard from schools who have started pilot programs of flag football, mostly in the eastern portion of the state so far.
Yeah, obviously the Johnson County area schools, KCK schools, Wyandotte, and then the 259 schools down in Wichita were a large portion of. There were other size schools in between there. The feedback was incredible. It was an avenue. It was an activity for kids to get involved in school that they were not already. I think that it just reaches a population that they hadn't seen before show up for competition. And so the reviews have been good. The Kansas City Chiefs have been good to help facilitate operational logistical things from support issues or just support in general. So I think the first unofficial season, if you will, or non-KSHSAA season that took place was a rousing success from everybody we've talked to. So now there was enough, I guess the proof is in the pudding a little bit, enough success that they've brought it to the Activity Association for an official sanctioned sport. And so, yeah, that'll also get discussed to see if that's going to be our next championship that we're going to offer.
Would it be a fall sport? Am I reading the item correctly? Right. It would be a fall sport?
As it's written right now, yes. If the agenda item is introduced as written, it would be in the fall.
Jeremy Holaday is our guest, joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. He's the Assistant Executive Director at KSHSAA. A couple more questions for Jeremy while we have you. State basketball just wrapped up. You mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. Another terrific week of high school hoops across the state of Kansas. It was a new format this year. Fewer state championship sites, 4 instead of 7, instead of having the 1 per class. The quarterfinal games being across the state was also a brand new format. What did you hear that was positive feedback to this point from coaches, from fans, from participants? What did you hear that was largely positive? Because I think a lot of people maybe focus on what the negative, and people are, always going to be a little spooked by change. But what did you hear that people liked? What was successful in KSHSAA's mind about this new state format?
Well, what we've heard, with sports. You and I both know that you're aiming for 51% because winners and losers in the game, and the people that are on the losing end of things typically are not going to give you positive feedback. But the positive feedback we've heard is, for the most part, our top seeds in the quarterfinals were able to play closer to home than they would otherwise, and we were able to do that on Tuesday, quarterfinal week. We were able to reduce travel compared to the previous year for our schools. So that's positive, number one. And then I think once the games got going through the quarterfinals and then we reached the semifinals and finals portion, I think people really did enjoy being able to watch 4 championships in one site, if you were, depending on where you were at. So those are the 2 major positives that we've heard. And if you were in Emporia, where I was for the semifinals and finals, especially the finals, 4 incredible state championships to watch.
No doubt. I was in Hutchinson on championship Saturday. It was a terrific day of hoops with 4 just awesome games, great performances. Is the format codified and already written in for next year with no flexibility if KSHSAA decided to go through and say, okay, well, we heard a lot of feedback and maybe we could tweak this for next year? Or are you wanting to give this a couple of year run to kind of see how it works out before you go through and maybe start making changes to the format?
I think the meat and potatoes of the format, we want to give more than just a 1 year run at it. There are certainly some fixings that we want to potentially tweak to make it the logistical framework for our schools when it comes to travel or booking hotels or just the overall experience. We could certainly tweak it. We actually have a survey out to our schools that participate in state basketball right now, and we're getting feedback for them as we speak to see to ask those questions that you just asked. So willing to absolutely tweak what makes sense, but also understand what we're trying to do still needs to be put in place.
All right, Jeremy, I'm going to ask this last question. This is one of the hot button topics people ask me my opinion about and always seem to ask about when it pertains to KSHSAA more than maybe any other. The possibility of a private school multiplier. Where is that conversation right now? What is the status of that discussion between KSHSAA and the member schools?
So the process currently right now, if we remember, it's probably been 4 or 5 years ago now, our member schools voted to approve for lack of a better term, a success multiplier for private schools. So for us to enact that, we have to get legislative approval. So for the last few years, we have put on their desk that our member schools want to do this. Please allow us to do this. And they have not moved forward on it. We cannot do it unless they do. Now, to their credit, I really applaud them for putting this together. This year, they had a roundtable where they invited private schools and public schools to a roundtable and had a great civil discourse discussion about what the issue is at hand, what are the possible solutions. And so I applaud them for doing that. It was a great lesson in civil discourse and discussion. And unfortunately, even though our schools have said we want to do this, they haven't moved it forward. So we're still waiting. There's other things that they move forward without our approval, but that's just how it works. So we're trying and we're having those discussions. And I think we took a good step forward this year with that roundtable discussion that they facilitated. However, there's still discussions to take place. So short answer, Dan, is we're working on it, and we'll see what permission we get in the future.
Jeremy Holaday is the Assistant Executive Director at the Kansas Kansas State High School Activities Association. It's such a mouthful. That's why we call it KSHSAA. Jeremy, this was a joy. Thanks so much for taking the time, and we'll have to do this again sometime soon.
Hey, anytime, Dan. Appreciate it.
That is Jeremy Holaday. We'll take a timeout, come back. We'll wrap up this 3 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk. Our thanks again to Jeremy Holaday, the Assistant Executive Director with KSHSAA, for joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. We'll have more discussion about the possibility of the creation of flag football as KSHSAA's next championship sport. Next Tuesday on the show, I'll speak with Sheila Sickow, the Chiefs Senior Marketing Manager of Football Development. The Kansas City Chiefs, as Jeremy mentioned, have been really involved in the prospect of getting flag football introduced as a sanctioned KSHSAA sport. So we're going to have some conversation with somebody from the Kansas City Chiefs about that. Sheila Sickow will join us next Tuesday here on the program. Coming up next hour, Mock Draft Wednesday and Tim Fitzgerald on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk, hour number 2 on this Wednesday afternoon. Thanks so much for being with us on the sports voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. Dan Lucero with you, now joined by Spencer Dupuis. We'll be with you until 6 o'clock tonight. No baseball tonight. No nothing tonight. Dave Ramsey's after us. And that'll be true for tonight. Then tomorrow, Sweet 16. All weekend, baseball. Royals baseball on 580 WIBW FM 104.9. The Royals at the Braves all weekend. Then, of course, the home opener on Monday is going to preempt us. Today is a big day for Major League Baseball social media accounts to start talking about what kind of food they're going to have at the ballpark this year. Have you noticed that today, Spencer?
I've actually noticed it over the last couple of days.
Today, apparently, and our pal Trevor in the YouTube live chat hipping us to this, that the Royals announced today that they're going to have Hawaiian Brothers at Kauffman Stadium this year. I'm going to be real with you. I've not had Hawaiian Brothers. That's a.
I've seen multiple locations and wondered what it would taste like, but I've never been.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to the concept, the food concept. Just never been to one. So
I am intrigued though about this 999 they got going.
So I'm not. You want me to tell you why?
Because it's not real.
It's one beer. Okay, one. You get one beer. So everybody knows the 999 challenge, right? Everybody knows what this is. This is where every inning of the game, because there's 9 innings, you eat a hot dog and you drink a beer, a whole beer. 9 beers, 9 dogs, 9 innings. That's the 999 challenge. And look,
there's legality problems around the actual 9 part of it.
You can't sell somebody 9 beers, right? Like you can't. Like I don't know what the rules are at the K, because I've never tried to buy like an armful of beers, but I've tried to do it at Coors Field before. They don't sell you more than 3 at a time. Okay, like you can't go buy more than 3 at a time. Anyhow, so teams are trying to ride this wave because they know it's like a social media thing, and you know they want to be hip. They want to be with it. They want to be 6-7ing with all the kids and all that.
I think that's over.
It might be. We get the 999 challenge, and teams are rolling out like they're going to sell like a box with 9 dogs and 9 beers in it. Here's your problem: the hot dogs are not like full-on dogs. They're not little Smokies, but they're like a kid's dog, basically. It's a small hot dog. It's not like your stadium foot long. It's a small hot dog, which is fine. That's okay. Like if you eat 9 foot long hot dogs,
I got a real question.
In 9 innings, you're some kind of sicko.
Is it like dollar dog night dogs or smaller?
I think it's probably dollar dog night dogs.
Okay, because man, those are hard. I told last summer when I took off and I went to a game on dollar dog night, I tried and I could only get 5 dogs in me.
So it's a box and it says the 999 challenge, and it's going to be at a bunch of different ballparks. Like I know they're doing it at Coors for the Rockies, doing it at the K, they're doing it in San Francisco,
City Field
in New York. So you get 9 hot dogs and 9 beer, like plastic beer glasses in a case. But these beer glasses are so small, they sell you 1 beer and it fills all 9 glasses. So it's like 9 shots of beer. Okay. All right. I'm watching the video. It really just fills 1 beer, 1 like tall Coors Light fills 8 of them. So, okay. It's maybe a beer and a half. So it's the 1.59 challenge. Well, 9 dogs, a beer and a half, 9 innings.
That's the problem with this being official. They have to go on these ABC liquor or beer guidelines.
Oh yeah, like
you can't sell 9 freaking
you cannot
Miller Lights together with your 9 dogs.
Right, but that's just it. Like, why are you being coy about something that we know you can't legally do? Then it's not it detracts from the spirit of the challenge. The texter from the 785 says, "I'm going to smash this 1/4 999 challenge." Yeah, that's like the hurdle is supposed to be like, what's the bigger hurdle? The dogs or the beers? Depends on how long the game is.
It's the bread and the hot dog, the bun.
Yeah, that's probably right because you fill up on bread a little bit. Like I've done like the most I've ever eaten during. I've eaten 5 hot dogs during a Major League Baseball.
I got 5 done and 4 beers done, and I had to tap out. And I'm a big guy.
You are.
I will admit. I was coy for the challenge because it was $1 dog night, and I was like, I'll spend like $80 and a bunch of that on, or like $100 and a bunch of the rest of it on beer.
The trend I do like is the floating food. The Mariners and the Red Sox each have concession items that come in little like barges that actually float. At Fenway Park this year, you can get lobster poutine, crispy fries, lobster meat, clam chowder, and crispy bacon all in a boat. Instead of a batting helmet, I suppose. I'd get it in a batting helmet personally, but you get in a little boat. And I don't know where you would float it, but you could.
Did you see what new eats are for the Royals?
So I did see Hawaiian Brothers, which we got a listener from the 785 on the text line telling us that we're missing out, haven't had it yet. So maybe we got to put it on the list.
There's 3 Midwest-inspired creations: beef short rib corn dog, beef Wellington hot dog, and you can get chicken and waffles in a cone.
All right, I love chicken and waffles. I do. Thing is, though, like typically if I'm going to a ball game, I'm going to cover it. So I'm just like eating dogs off the roller in the Kauffman Stadium press box. But if I go to the game, I'm going like I'm probably going with my wife. Like I'm taking her to Slaps and we're eating a mess of barbecue before we get to the ballpark. So I don't really do a lot of like ballpark concessions.
That's true.
Like if I'm going to Kansas City for any reason that's not just I'm there for it's just me and I'm going for like one thing, like Big 12 tournament or media day, something like that. It's just a down and back. If I'm going somewhere and I'm not having a meal provided for me, I'm going to go get a meal from one of the barbecue places. I'm going to get barbecue. And you can do that at the ballpark. The KC Joe's at the ballpark starting last year. So that's a positive. But yeah, I would try the chicken and waffles in a cone, though. I did do the brisket nachos.
Yeah,
one year in the batting helmet. I did do that.
So essentially, it's a cone, like a waffle cone, with chicken nuggets in it.
Oh yeah, I do that.
And then it's got like the waffle cone like metal holder, and then it's got your 3 sauces you can choose from on the side.
That sounds pretty good. Yeah, I do that, and I would try
the beef Wellington hot dog. Looks like a calzone.
Like I will do the abbreviated 999 challenge. I just want to know: do I get to keep the little tiny beer glasses? Because I think I can make good use of those. They look fun. Like I would as a collector's item. It looks like if you want to do it tonight, the first game of the season, you can do it at what is it, Oracle Park now in San Francisco?
Yes.
It will cost you $55.
Okay.
9 hot dogs and half a beer for $55. You probably get to keep the case and the cups.
Yeah.
$55.
The cups, the glasses look, if they're probably plastic,
I'm assuming so, yes.
They do look bigger than the Brew at the Zoo one. That one's really small.
They do. Yeah, they're slightly bigger than the tasters, right?
Yeah.
That you would get like if you went to like an old Chicago or a place in a similar vein where they have a whole bunch of stuff on tap and you just want to try something. Like they're a little bigger than the tasters, but I'm watching the guy pour like the traditional stadium size can, the pounder of Coors Light, and he mostly fills 8 of the glasses before he runs out. So yeah, it's probably maybe if you squint, you could call it 2 beers, which, okay, frankly, if you drove to the ballpark, especially, you shouldn't drink it all, but like 2's about where I would cut myself off. If I were at the game with some buddies and I was sitting in the stands, I'd cut myself off at 2, just in general. That's a good place to cut it. I think that's a good place to call it, especially if it's a Sunday afternoon game and it's 98 degrees in July. Nah, man, you can't do more than 2. Yeah. Nah, you're not having a good time after that. Text the program 785-272-9429. You can also interact with us in the live chat on our YouTube channel. 580 Sports Talk. Coming up in about 20 minutes, Tim Fitzgerald will join us for the Wildcat Wrap-Up, sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors. We'll talk to Fitz of GoPowerCat.com. Colin Klein spoke to the media today. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about Fitz's sit-down with Casey Alexander for his podcast, the Fighting Ever Fighting podcast over at GoPowerCat.com. So plenty to talk about with Fitz. We'll do that in about 20 minutes. We've also got What Is Wrong With You coming up as well. But it's another Wednesday. The NFL draft is about a month away now. We're already that close to the NFL draft in Pittsburgh. And if it's a Wednesday and we haven't had a draft yet, that means it's Mock Draft Wednesday here on 580 Sports.
Let's go. I wish we had a sounder.
I love your excitement. The draft sounder. That should be the easiest thing in the world. All right, I'm pulling it up on YouTube right now. Pull up my computer, please. There it is.
That caught me off guard there.
Yeah, it caught me off guard too. I'm surprised. The first time I've ever played a video on YouTube and it hasn't started with like an ad.
Well, that's why in my head I clicked it automatically. I don't know if you heard the little mute there for a second.
Yeah,
I clicked it off just out of habit.
No, I appreciate it. We didn't want to give like I don't know what kind of ads you get. I get a lot of ads for toys now because my kid watches my YouTube. I got all these great sports videos, highlight videos, NFL throwback, MLB vault, and then it's like, I love my garbage truck by Super Simple Sounds. Asher loves that song. Anyhow, Mock Draft Wednesday. Let's start with Field Yates of ESPN.com. He put out a 2-round mock yesterday. This will be the only one of 2 multi-round mocks that we'll look at. And I want to start with this one because there's an interesting name that we really haven't talked a whole lot about so far at pick number 9. It's Arizona State wide receiver Jordan Tyson. And if you follow the Big 12, you know he's a playmaker. If you remember what he did to K-State at K-State 2 years ago when he just tore them to shreds for 4 quarters and was the reason that eventual Big 12 championship Sun Devil team beat K-State at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. You know he's a baller. He's 6'2". He can run all the routes. He can line up anywhere on the field. This is a new descriptor. I feel like this year we get a new word, a new descriptor for a draft prospect every year, it feels like. And this is the new one for talking about wide receivers. Jordan Tyson has above the rim ability. And you're thinking, well, what does that have to do with football? They don't have rims in football. I guess the idea of talking about having above the rim ability on the catch is going up and high pointing a ball, beating a defender to a contested catch, being able to get over the top of the defender or beat a defender in the air to make a play on a ball.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would think it would be.
So that's what above the rim ability for a wide receiver is. And Jordan Tyson has that. To me, Tyson is the prospect that is kind of in between what Mekhi Lemon out of USC is offering and what Carnell Tate of Ohio State is offering. Those are the 2 other wide receivers that you've most commonly seen as top 10 picks. We've seen Tate mocked to the Chiefs a whole lot. We haven't seen Tyson as much. Jesse Newell, in his article from The Athletic earlier this week, Chiefs beat writer Jesse Newell, friend of the program, pointed out that Tyson is starting to rise up a lot of these mock drafts from national writers in recent weeks. There's injury concern with Tyson. He had a hamstring injury that limited him this last season. He's going to have a workout before the draft that is either going to assuage those concerns or heighten those injury concerns. But with a clean bill of health, you could absolutely talk me into Tyson as being the mix between, all right, he's going to make plays after the catch like a Mekhi Lemon, but also you can line him up on the outside. He can be a ball winner. He can be an outside target the Chiefs have so sorely lacked. Who do the Chiefs have who can win above the rim? They don't have anybody who can do that on their roster right now. Jordan Tyson can do that. You could talk me into him certainly over Lemon. I just think Lemon's skill set is too similar to all the other receivers the Chiefs have under contract right now. They need to get a different skill set at wide receiver. Tate brings that. I think Tyson brings that too. So I'm intrigued by that possibility. If he's healthy, I might even like him better than Tate. But that's the big question with him. Field Yates goes on to give the Chiefs Cassius Howell the edge out of Texas A&M with the 29th overall pick in the first round. Howell, like Ruben Bain, has short arms. He's got little baby T-Rex arms, but he was productive in college. So most mock drafts still have him in the first round. The problem with Cassius Howell from the Chiefs' perspective is Cassius Howell's 245 pounds. Does that sound like a Steve Spagnuolo defensive end to you?
No,
it does. I don't see the fit there. Field Yates of ESPN gives the Chiefs with the 40th pick in the second round, Jake Golday, a linebacker from Cincinnati. Linebacker is intriguing, and Golday has a lot of similar traits as a Leo Chanel. So natural replacement there. Maybe the Chiefs aren't entirely sold on Jeffrey Bassa being anything more than a core special teamer at this point. If they're really looking for a third linebacker to get in that rotation, they don't feel like that guy is on the roster. Golday could make some sense. I think 40 is probably a little high for him. Maybe he's around in the 70s, but that's an interesting thought from Field Yates. I was really intrigued by his mock draft. All right, we're going to run through three national ones here that are single round mocks. Both Jordan Plotcher of Pro Football Focus and Bucky Brooks of NFL.com did mock drafts where they had the Cowboys trading up to number 3 overall to draft Jeremiah Love, which, is there a more Jerry Jones thing that he could possibly do?
It's so up Jerry Jones' alley.
Especially after giving Javonte Williams $24 million this offseason. Oh, it would be such a Cowboys thing to do. I'm almost rooting for it to happen now. But anyway, these are mock drafts with trades, so that obviously alters how the draft board falls in both of these mock drafts. But we'll start with Jordan Plotcher, Pro Football Focus. His mock draft has the Chiefs getting David Bailey at number 9 and Avion Terrell, the cornerback from Clemson, who everybody refers to as a Trent McDuffie clone. And by everybody, that also includes Avion Terrell, who says that McDuffie's the guy he models himself after. So I understand certainly the compulsion to mock Terrell to the Chiefs. And if that's the kind of player he is, certainly you like the fit. You know what the Chiefs can get out of a player with that kind of skill level. Bailey is interesting at number 9 in this sense. Jesse Newell wrote about this in The Athletic today, too. The discussion now around Bailey is he a 4-3 defensive end or a 3-4 linebacker? Is he a stand-up, end-of-the-line rusher, or is he a hand-in-the-dirt pass rusher in the NFL? I think he's got the size to be a hand-in-the-dirt guy. If you believe in him as that kind of player, certainly the Chiefs at least have some interest. They met with Bailey first. But that's going to be the debate, and that may alter where Bailey goes in the first round of the draft. You're going to go first round. He's probably going to go top 10. Well, what kind of team does he fit? It depends on how they see him. Do they see him as a 3-4 stand-up, or do they see him as a 4-3 edge? So that's Jordan Plotcher from Pro Football Focus. Bucky Brooks of NFL.com, with a 9th pick in the first round, has the Chiefs selecting Miami tackle Francis Moinoa. We're still doing this. I said stop, and no one listened. We're still doing this. We're still seeing national NFL writers suggesting that the Chiefs would draft a right tackle with the 9th overall pick in the NFL draft. A pick that they do not plan to have again for the entirety of Patrick Mahomes' career. A pick at a position, look, left tackle, certainly a premium position. Right tackle, not so much. Not so much. And there are enough tackle-hungry teams that I think Moinoa probably is going to go in the top 10. And you can make the case for Spencer Fano in the top 10 as well. But the Chiefs have $15 million invested in Jalen Moore. They did not spend that money for him to ride pine for 2 straight years. They did not pay him that money to be a swing tackle. And there is no indication that the Chiefs all of a sudden have decided that Jalen Moore sucks. There's no indication of this. Outside of national writers going, well, Chiefs, what were they bad? Offensive line last year. Yeah, they were bad because they were starting you and me at tackle, Spencer. That's why. They're starting guys with as much NFL experience, literally, as you and me.
Yeah.
By the end of the season. That's why the offensive line stunk so bad. That's what got Patrick Mahomes hurt. They're invested in Jalen Moore. They're pot committed for 2026 in Jalen Moore. Whether that's going to work out or not, we'll find out together. But to use the 9th pick, the highest pick you intend to have in the Patrick Mahomes era, you do not intend to pick this high ever again as long as 15 is under center. And glaring needs at edge and at wide receiver. To suggest that the Chiefs would take a tackle with that pick is completely off your rocker nuts. But that's what Bucky Brooks did with the number 9 pick, Francis Moano out of Miami. 29th overall pick, Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end out of Oregon. There is no Travis Kelce succession plan to this point. Sadiq is an absolute athletic monster. Like, the testing is off the charts. It's fun to think about. I don't think he's going to be there at number 29. That's the only thing I have. I really have a hard time believing he's going to fall that far. Vic Tafur of The Athletic also drawing my ire. He has the Chiefs taking the aforementioned Spencer Fano from Utah as the number 9 overall pick. Stop it. Get some help. Tafur does have Avion Terrell out of Clemson going number 29. Again, you could definitely talk me into that. You could absolutely talk me into that. We'll leave off with a beat writer mock draft. Sam McDowell, Pete Sweeney of the Kansas City Star teaming up for a mock draft. They don't have the Chiefs taking a tackle at number 9. Interesting. They have them going with Reuben Bain. Reuben Bain at number 9. Colton Hood, cornerback, Tennessee, at number 29. I like Hood. I don't know that his upside is the same as Terrell's. I don't think it's the same as Jermod McCoy, but I think that's why McCoy's going to go higher. I don't even think his upside is the same as Brandon Cisse out of South Carolina. I think Hood's floor is higher than Cisse's. But cornerback at number 29, and at number 40, a wide receiver, Chris Brazzell from Tennessee. We talked about Brazzell. He's a big body wide receiver. He's 6'4", 6'5", and would give the Chiefs some of that above the rim catchability. Problem with those wide receivers, end of the first round, beginning of the second round, a lot of them athletically aren't that impressive. Like stats-wise, height-wise, some of the measurables are more impressive than others, but like didn't light up the combine. There's a lot of uncertainty about that class of wide receivers that comes after Tate, Lemon, and Tyson. And I think I would be a little bit surprised, other than like Casey Concepcion's the new hotness lately. That's a name that's getting thrown around a lot, being maybe mid-first round, jumping in as another wide receiver in the first round. Outside of a guy like him, I don't know that I'm really sold personally on any of those wide receivers that are going to go, like Denzel Boston or guys like that, Brazzell being another one. I don't know that I'm all the way sold on those guys early second round.
Yeah, I've got a mock draft today.
Okay, give it to me.
Again, the PFF free mock draft, so no trades.
This is Spencer Dupuis' mock draft. Man, that was loud. Sorry.
No, I'd turn it up. Number 9. There was a lot of consternation about this pick because there was 2 players on the board in which you could say the Chiefs needed. The one that I did not choose was that wide receiver from Ohio State, Tate.
Okay.
I did pick cornerback from LSU, Mansour Delane.
You did go Mansour Delane at number 9. He is CB1 in the class. There's not much debate about that.
And it just so happened when we came back to number 29, I looked smart because saw a wide receiver there, Omar Cooper Jr.
Interesting. Okay, why do you like Cooper?
Look, we've talked about this. Any of the wide receivers in Indiana, I think they're good. And I think he just flat out.
That's one of those watch the tape picks.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So it was wide receiver, corner, and then it worked out that both got done in the first round in my head.
All right. Did you do a second round pick?
No.
Okay. Just a single round mock.
Yes.
Delane and Omar Cooper. Good stuff. Good stuff. That's Mock Draft Wednesday. We'll reconvene on the mock draft scene next Wednesday on the program. We'll take a timeout now. Come back with What Is Wrong With You on 580 Sports Talk. It's What Is Wrong With You time on 580 Sports Talk. We've got two news stories today competing against the maintenance worker at a rental in Bloomingdale, Illinois, who peed in somebody's kitchen sink while they thought no one was looking. They were there to work on a washing machine and thought, while I'm here, I got to go. Nature's calling. I will use the kitchen sink to relieve myself.
Not the bathroom that's probably in this apartment.
Not the bathroom, not like outdoors, not across the street at a 7-Eleven. No, in the guy's kitchen sink. He got caught on camera. The renter is asking for several months of free rent in return, and I think he should. I think he should be granted that. And, of course, a new kitchen sink. Two news stories today. I'm going to go first. Ever a good idea to drink while you're on the job?
I would say that's a definite no.
Ever a good idea to drink on the job if you're a cop?
Definitely not.
We go to Indianapolis, where 34-year-old Caitlin Harris, a detective with the Indianapolis Metro Police Department's Child Abuse Unit, has been arrested on preliminary charges of operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated and OWI while endangering a person. She was the on-call detective for the day on Sunday and was called Sunday evening to the scene of an investigation. She arrived at the scene to assist other responding officers, and as the investigation was ending, officers reportedly noticed that Harris smelled like booze and notified their supervisor. The sergeant immediately responded to the scene, but Harris had already wrapped up her investigation and drove away. The sergeant reportedly called Harris, ordered her to pull over so that they could meet. Harris is like, nah, bump that, and drove home. Soon after, a lieutenant met Harris at her home and also came to believe that she was under the influence of alcohol. She was taken to a local hospital for a blood draw, where an investigator and other detectives arrived, launched an investigation, where it was determined that Harris was under the influence and was arrested. She's been placed on administrative leave, is now under investigation with no police powers. She has worked for the department for 8 years. Yeah, it's probably one of those Sunday, man, it's a slow day in my unit. I got nothing to worry about. I'm gonna get hammered and watch some Netflix.
I've made it through 3/4 of the day on call. You know what?
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Nobody's called me all day. I'm gonna head start on my Sunday night. Break out the G&Ts or whatever she was having, and then you get called to do the job. And you got to tell on yourself at that point. Like the consequence of, hey man, I can't make it. I didn't think y'all were gonna call me, and I got rip snort drunk. The consequences for that can't be worse than the consequences for this.
Yeah.
I'm sure the consequences wouldn't be good, but they wouldn't be this. What's your story?
Yeah, we're going to go to Florida, and it's my favorite thing for people to not do when they're already committing a crime. That's commit another crime. A Florida man was charged with possession of pounds of methamphetamine during a Grand Island traffic stop, now faces federal charges. Charlie Red, 57, of Hialeah, Florida, is charged in the U.S. District Court with possession of 50 grams or more of methamphetamine with the intent to distribute. According to Grand Island Police, last November, officers conducted a traffic stop on a vehicle driven by Red for failure to use a turn signal. He produced identification from Florida, but did not have a valid license. The vehicle was found to be an overdue rental from Michigan. GIPD said Red was taken into custody for no driver's license and speeding. The officers then deployed his canine partner, Mando, who was recently acquired through donations, but he's a good police dog.
Good dog.
And he alerted the officer to presence of controlled substances, leading to a search of the vehicle, where it was found more than 14 pounds of suspected methamphetamine within the passenger compartment and trunk.
Yep. Got to use your turn signal when you're riding dirty. Follow the speed limit, follow all posted signs.
You also probably shouldn't be driving because, you don't have a driver's license.
Yeah, that too. lot of bad choices for old Big Red here. Ironic. Big Red arrested in Nebraska. I'm going to go with the drunk cop. I'm going to go with Mrs. Officer.
Yeah.
Picking a bad time to drink on the job. I'm still riding with the guy peeing in the kitchen sink. That makes me so mad. Like, what is wrong with you, indeed?
That might win the month.
It's got a chance. It's got to get through tomorrow, and we'll have the semifinals for the month on Friday. That continues as our winner on What Is Wrong With You. When we come back, Tim Fitzgerald, GoPowerCat.com. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by Tim Fitzgerald to GoPowerCat.com. This is the Wildcat Wrap-Up, and it's sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors, who provide high-quality products at affordable prices. You can check out their showrooms in either Wamego or Lawrence, or visit them online at tallgrasswindows.com. Excellence without exception. That's Tallgrass Windows and Doors. Well, Fitz, Casey Alexander's been on the job long enough to sit down with you and do your Fighting Ever Fighting podcast. I want to know, what has your first impression been of having some personal time, getting a chance to sit down and really speak with the new head men's basketball coach at K-State?
I think he's a great fit. I really do. I think fans are really going to grow to like him. Comes down to wins and losses. We know that. But I think he brings things to the table that are familiar to K-State fans. And that's going to be playing with a great deal of effort and being well coached. And that's things that we didn't always see the last few years of Kansas State basketball. So depending on how he can adjust to recruiting and getting players that, can compete at this level, I think K-State basketball is in pretty good hands. But this is a conference not for the faint of heart. If you're a coach, you're coming into the big leagues, and he knows that.
Jerome Tang was an instant hit with K-State fans with his personality when he got to Manhattan. There was a confidence bordering on arrogance. I don't even think bordering is the right way to say it, about his belief that Kansas State was going to be good immediately, and they were good immediately, and that really helped. But certainly Tang had a way with people. He had a way with the student body that I thought was really noteworthy, and would have bought him, never would have imagined it would have bought him more goodwill than it ended up buying him in the end. What do you think that relationship is going to be like between Alexander and this fan base? Obviously, he's a different kind of person. He's got a different kind of attitude. But what do you think that relationship is going to be, and how important is that Alexander cultivate that relationship in the early going?
Much different personalities. Much. You won't see him driving around in a golf cart on campus, and probably not hanging with Alexander. That doesn't really work anyhow.
Chilling with Casey. He can have that one.
It.
He can have that one for free.
Yeah, I'm sure the killing, will really work out well with the university, I bet. Look, I think K-Staters fell in love with Jerome Tang and then realized it wasn't what they thought it was. And that's unfortunate because I like Jerome. I think he's a good man. But I think after that first season, he believed in himself too much, thought it was easy, and it's not. And then it just never followed after that. They never looked the same. And I don't know what it was. I personally think it was probably Marquise Noel acting as a coach and a leader with the team that connected everyone together. And I think it really paid off well for him, for Tang and the program. But then it just all went to crap. And I don't think there was enough X's and O's background with this coaching staff to overcome any of this. And in hindsight, we should have known it pretty early on that X's and O's weren't why this guy was hired. It was recruiting. And then the whole recruiting world changed. And now they weren't looking at the high school kids. All of a sudden, they're just sitting there and picking out players in the portal and spending someone else's money like they're on vacation in Rio. And it just didn't work out. And so now let's go back to what has always worked for Kansas State: high quality coaching and demanding great effort from players. Because I don't think we saw that the last few years. He wanted to say there was effort, but K-Staters aren't dumb. They could tell. These teams weren't bought in all the way like you have to be to win at this level.
As it stands right now, today, March 25th, without knowing what the roster is going to look like, how it's going to be comprised, without knowing what most of his coaching staff is going to look like, what do you suppose the grace period is for Casey Alexander? Does he have to win, get to the tournament right away? Or is there going to be a feeling of, let's just have an identity, let's get this program back to respectability, let's be different than what it was last year? Do you think he gets a year one like that, maybe a 1 year grace period at this stage? Or what is the expectation going to be?
It's amazing how, just in my career, how that grace period has shrunk and shrunk and shrunk. Remember when coaches used to get 5 years?
Yeah.
Remember when coaches got 3 years? Now you get a week. And it's just, the pressure's on immediately. But he has this advantage, and it's a strange advantage, I admit. Expectations are extremely low right now. What fans just saw was completely unacceptable. And so if he can just get this program back in the conversation, make them competitive. I had a video the other day. Actually, this video is tomorrow now I think about it. For the daily delivery, in which I discussed when you see that the Big 12 put 3 in the Sweet 16 and teams that weren't capable of making the Sweet 16 absolutely dismantled this K-State team, it puts in perspective how far behind Kansas State basketball was the last few years and how non-competitive they were for this level. So I think if he can just come in and turn those things around, have the fight, win some games that, fans appreciate the effort and be in the talk for postseason, preferably get into some form of postseason in year one. I think that would be safe. But fans are going to expect the tournament, and they should. And I think this guy's equipped to do it, and we'll see if his style works at this level, because I have a feeling that, again, this is just gut. I think what he does is going to work extremely well at Kansas State and in the Big 12.
Tim Fitzgerald is our guest from GoPowerCat.com. This is the Wildcat Wrap-Up, sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors here on 580 Sports Talk. We do it every Wednesday at this time. Spring football is underway, Fitz. Let's pivot to the gridiron. The first press conference of the spring was today. Colin Klein meeting with those of you in the media today. What stuck out from Coach Klein's remarks from earlier?
It's still adjustment for me to see Colin in this setting, and his grasp on the entire roster was impressive. His understanding of what he's got and what he needs to work on. We're going to get to go to some portions of a couple practices here in the spring, but not a whole practice. I would love to see him in a whole practice just to see how he manages it. I just finished recording my Fighting Ever Fighting for this week, and it was with Corey Patterson, the running backs coach, and they had never worked together before, and he's just in awe of the organizational skills and the knowledge that Colin brings to the table. So I think tomorrow's just going to be surreal when he steps on a practice field for the first time as a head coach, and I'm excited to see what comes of this. If I know one thing about Colin Klein, he's going to attack spring football with a great deal of organization and an understanding of what he wants to accomplish. He admitted today the practices are going to be a little bit longer. They've got a plan, and they're going to be working on stuff. Contact. They're going to hit each other 12 out of 15 practices, which is the maximum you can do in the spring. They're going to get after each other and get physical, and guys are going to get hurt, and people are going to panic. And he's trying to set a mindset down with this program, and I think he is fired up to get an opportunity to coach this football team.
Lincoln Cure's name came up in the press conference today in a real positive way. Colin Klein saying that Cure has had the highest muscle mass gain and the most fat loss of any player in camp so far. Pretty impressive for one guy to manage both of those things. Cure didn't get a spring last year. He was doing track at Goodland High School. How much is he going to benefit from having a spring and getting to be more involved from this portion of preparation for a season all the way on through to the fall, as far as the hope of seeing much more from the five-star recruit this coming season?
I got to tell you something. Watching Lincoln Cure last year, not once did I look at that young man and say, what a fat ass. He needs to lose some weight. So to hear him say that, I'm like, what, chop off a leg? How do you lose this weight? I don't understand. So I'm kind of excited to see him. But, your body goes through these transitions from, kind of having still carrying some baby fat, some young guy fat. And, he's transitioning into full-fledged, manhood now. And everyone does that at a different pace. I'm still trying to reach manhood, and I'm in 60. So it's a different pace. But yeah, that struck me. The dude that looked like he was in shape, as Gus Johnson would say, was apparently had more room to get it done. So to be able to drop that kind of body fat and add muscle based on what he looked like already, that's impressive.
We're joined by Tim Fitzgerald of GoPowerCat.com here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. And Fitz, 10 days went, not less than 10 days go by after K-State lost Marcus Woodson to Ole Miss. They get Marcel Yates to be the new cornerback coach. What is he going to bring to this program that was good on, like, where they got him in a short period of time with the turnaround?
Well, this is a really experienced coach. I mean, he's a former defensive coordinator. He's coached in this conference. He's coached at high levels. I think this is a remarkable hire for, how it came about, because this was a connection from members of Collins' defensive staff who said, "This is your guy." I didn't think there was any way they were going to get a coach in for spring football, and yet they did it. And I love how coaches, assistant coaches in particular, are like firefighters. They get the call, they get their pants on, and they go to work. They move to that town, and we live here now. Yesterday I lived there, today I live here, and they get after it. It's kind of been a fun process to watch now with basketball doing it too. But I think you'll bring to a great deal of experience and knowledge on the defensive side of the ball. And honestly, it comforts me knowing that they've got another guy with defensive coordinator experience as they break in a guy who's never been the defensive coordinator before. Well, all thoughts on Jordan Peterson. He's going to be great at this, but still having that ability to touch base with guys who have been coordinators has got to be helpful for a first-time guy.
Fitz, do you miss spring games?
No, I hated them. And it's probably, that's probably a function of covering Bill Snyder, because he wouldn't show anything.
Right.
And they were boring. And then he started flipping the score, which you can't do that. That hurt my, that wasn't football. You don't flop the score. It just bothered me. I don't like spring games. And keep this in mind. You get 15 practices, and if you play a spring game, it's one of the practices. So I don't know why coaches would want to have a spring game. Why they would want to put their team on the field with a watered down, playbook on both sides, because they don't want to show anything because people are watching. Just have a practice, and I'm a fan of maybe having some kind of fan event where they, have skill contests amongst the team, and, do some entertaining things like that, but save the spring game and just go get to work behind closed doors.
Tim Fitzgerald is publisher at GoPowerCat.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. He joins us every Wednesday on the program for the Wildcat Wrap-Up, sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors, who provide high-quality products at affordable prices. You can check out their showrooms in either Wamego or Lawrence, or visit them online at tallgrasswindows.com. Excellence without exception. That's Tallgrass Windows and Doors. Fitz, always a pleasure. We'll do it again next week.
Thank you, my friends.
That is Tim Fitzgerald. We'll take a timeout, come back, wrap up this hour with One Gotta Go on 580 Sports Talk. I got a reverse KU basketball. One got to go for you, Spencer. You can only keep one on next year's KU roster. Cole Rosario, Paul Mbia, Elmarco Jackson. You can only keep one.
I'd be going for two. I think I'm going to go Paul Mbia. I think we saw the potential there in the NCAA tournament. Get him working, get him in the weight room, get him working on his craft this offseason, and I think he could be really good.
I'd like to keep all three, frankly, but if I could only keep one, I think I might lean to Mbia too, because I just think you can't teach that kind of size, and he does feel to me like the kind of big that has typically had success on a Bill Self roster. So, yeah, I think he'd be my pick to stay. You got one today?
I do not.
Okay. All right. We'll set up the 5 o'clock hour then. That's fine. It was quick. We didn't leave a lot of time for one guy to go today. We went long with Fitz. We always enjoy Tim Fitzgerald of GoPowerCat.com. Coming to the 5 o'clock hour, we got some sports headlines. We're going to get to the rest of the crew's Major League Baseball predictions for the season. I gave you mine earlier. We'll hear Spencer and Brendan's Major League Baseball predictions on this first of 3 opening days across Major League Baseball, and a whole lot more coming up in the final hour of the program. Stick and stay with us here on the Sports Voice of Kansas for one more hour, 580 Sports Talk. Well, let's get it. Third and final hour of 580 Sports Talk on this Wednesday. Dan Lucero and Spencer Dupuis with you here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and, of course, on our video streaming channels, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube and WIBW News on Facebook. Thanks so much for being with us on this hump day. We got still plenty more to come in the final hour of this show. If you missed it earlier on, I laid out my Major League Baseball season predictions. We had Mock Draft Wednesday. We've had two guests on the program today. Jeremy Holaday, Assistant Executive Director at KSHSAA, and Tim Fitzgerald, publisher at GoPowerCat.com. If you ever miss any of the show, you can always catch it on our podcast page at 580WIBW.com. You can follow us on Spotify, searching 580 Sports Talk, and listen to us wherever you get a bunch of other fine podcasts and probably most of your music library. You can also find our video archive on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. And as long as it's within the last 30 days, you can watch the video archive on our Facebook page, WIBW News. But Meta likes to delete those. I don't know. Maybe they got a lot more server space now that they killed the metaverse.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the metaverse is gone.
What was that?
That was the AI thing.
They killed that?
Yeah, that's gone. Yeah, the metaverse out of here.
That's weird. I just got a notification the other day that like blank and 7,500 of my other friends are using it.
Well, they can use it for as long as they want, but it's about to be out of here. It's about to be long gone. They're getting rid of the old the $1 billion boondoggle that was the metaverse. People didn't want to hang out wearing those headsets, I guess. Not enough people want to get in on that. So maybe they got some more server space coming up and they can keep videos for longer. But anyway, YouTube, they keep the videos forever. You can go back and watch the first time we ever live streamed the show, late October 2022. You can go our video archive goes all the way back there. And you can always catch up on the show on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Again, following us on Spotify, 580 Sports Talk. Rate us and review us if you do follow us on Spotify. We appreciate that. And our podcast page, just want to go to our website, 580WIBW.com, if you ever miss any of the show. The podcast is an hour-by-hour breakdown. So you just pick the hour based on the synopsis. Oh, yeah, this is where they talked about the thing I want to hear about. I want to hear the 4 o'clock hour because I missed What Is Wrong With You.
Shout out to our Spotify listeners.
Yes.
Good analytics.
Appreciate those of you who are tuning in on Spotify. Appreciate those of you tuning us in on YouTube. Anywhere you find us, whenever you find us, however you interact with us. We appreciate every single one of you. We appreciate when you text the show. The text line is open, 785-272-9429. I asked it in the 3 o'clock hour. Ask it again here in the 5 o'clock hour. How many games do you think the Royals are winning this year? We'll talk about it. Want to hear your predictions, 785-272-9429. You can also get your predictions in on our YouTube live chat. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel.
Are we going to do an official one on before that, or are we doing it all today?
We'll do. I mean, we're picking the divisions and everything today, so we may as well get a win total down for the Royals, and we'll do some more Royals specific predictions for the season on Friday's show, like some bolder team predictions, like. I don't know. That'll be the show. You go. You turn on the microphone and
besides Bobby Witt Jr., who leads the team in homers.
You confidently predict Michael Wacha to win 20 games or whatever it is that you want, or Luinder Avila to be
Carter Jensen Rookie of the Year.
Hey, listen, I like it. I like where your head's at.
Technically, couldn't Jack Caglione be Rookie of the Year?
No, too many at bats last year. It's believe that the limit is 130 plate appearances and 50 innings pitched. I think it's still 50 innings pitched. But that is when you lose your rookie eligibility. What was the one guy who barely kept it? Yeah. I guess it is at bats. 130 at bats, because maybe they've changed it since the mid 90s, but I remember this happening. Scott Rowland got hit by a pitch and it broke his wrist. And his rookie season in 1996 ended. He was right at 130 at-bats. And then the next year, he was Rookie of the Year eligible, and he won the award. And there was a whole to-do about that. But anyway, Yeah, Jack blew past that. He was over 200 plate appearances last year. So, yeah, he is not rookie eligible for that award. So, we'll predict some awards. We will predict some division champions. We'll predict some World Series champions here coming up in just a little bit. We'll talk a little bit more about the Royals' 26-man roster. It has been finalized. Continue our countdown to opening day. We are now 2 days away. And, of course, we have our 580 Sports Talk headlines as well. And why don't we smash the two together and just give you the transactions today that finalized the Kansas City Royals 26-man roster as we begin our 580 Sports Talk headlines. Nick Lofton and Tyler Tolbert both made the team. How did that come to be? Michael Massey is on the injured list. Michael Massey will begin the season on the 10-day injured list. He suffered an injury during camp, a left calf strain, so he will start on the IL. Also starting on the 15-day injured list, right-handed pitcher Stephen Kolek with an oblique strain that kept him out of most of the spring, and right-handed pitcher James MacArthur. Remember him? Remember James MacArthur?
I forgot about that guy.
Remember, he was the new Mac the Ninth? He had his own entrance and everything. He came out of the bullpen to Chris Stapleton, and he had a moment. They stopped getting guys out. And then he injured his elbow in a really funky fashion, had to have a very strange surgery last year, missed all of last season. Still recovering from that. He is placed on the 15-day IL with right elbow inflammation. Also, today with the 40-man roster, Drew Waters, designated for assignment. Drew Waters was at one time a pretty big deal prospect coming up through the Brave system. He was a second-round pick. Royals traded international signing bonus money to get him and bring him into the organization in 2022. And over parts of 4 seasons with the Royals in 200 games and 684 plate appearances, Drew Waters didn't hit a lick. 234 average, a 670 OPS, 14 home runs, 21 stolen bases, struck out 213 times. That is 31% of the time he came to the plate in the major leagues as a Royal. He was striking out. And if you're going to strike out that often, you better hit a whole lot more home runs than 14 over 4 years and 208 games. So Drew Waters, at least for now, his time on the 40-man roster is over. We'll see if anybody claims him. He could get through waivers. The Royals would be able to option him to Omaha. I don't think he's got enough service time where he could decline an option, but we'll see what happens with Waters. This could potentially end his time in the Royals organization, but obviously he'd been passed up on the organization's outfield depth chart. With that extra 40-man roster spot, the Royals selected the contract of right-handed reliever Eli Morgan, my guy.
Yeah.
Eli's a Royal. He'll go to Omaha. He was optioned to AAA. And will begin the season as an experienced big league reliever with a minor league option available and working on some things in Omaha. So those were the transactions today that helped to set the 26-man Royals roster. 40-man roster is, I believe, full at 40. I think that the DFA of Waters was necessary to add Morgan to the 40-man. They wanted to add him to the 40-man because they like him. They didn't want any other team to claim him. Yeah. They felt like he would have been claimed and maybe even added to somebody's 26-man roster. But they decided they want to keep Morgan around. And Eli's got some background working with Brian Sweeney, the Royals pitching coach. They came up together in Cleveland. So he's excited to be part of the Royals organization, and he will start on the 40-man roster in AAA Omaha. Anyhow,
I will say it's rather annoying that the Royals didn't get better enough in minor league contract or guys with spring training invites in the infield that Nick Lofton is still an option.
Well, Nick Lofton had a good spring. I think Nick Lofton won a job. Like, that was a job that was won by Nick Lofton more than he was just around and won it by default. Like, yeah. Josh Rojas had a good spring. Brandon Drury was in camp. Like, they did, I think, make it where if Lofton was going to get another shot, he was going to have to earn it. And I think that's appropriate. I don't think you guarantee a roster spot to a guy who last year had a 635 OPS. But all he did was go out in the spring and OPS over 900. And I know it's 50 plate appearances, small sample size, but that's all you got in the spring. Go win a job. And Nick Lofton won the job. So he'll start is the 25th man. I think Tolbert's probably your 26th man. And it'll be interesting to see which one of them. I'm suspecting Tolbert would go down when Massey is healthy. But maybe it would be Lofton. Maybe they really like having Tolbert's legs and his ability to play both infield and center field on their roster. But anyway, more about the composition of the 26 here in a little bit. Let's continue on with our 580 Sports Talk headlines.
Yeah, we were waiting for it. Thought it was going to happen, but it didn't happen until later yesterday evening after we got off the air. But UNC has separated themselves from Hubert Davis. He is out as head coach, being the guy after Roy Williams. And that just brings more urgency for Bill Self, who has now come out today and said, I have not made a decision yet, despite every fake reporter on X saying that he has made a decision and every Jayhawk hater saying that he is retiring.
So there were some rumors earlier today that there was going to be a press conference in Lawrence and that Bill Self was going to announce his retirement. First credible source I saw lend any credence to those rumors, or at least acknowledge that those rumors were out there, was Matt Norlander of CBS Sports. And he said...
From an airport, right?
Yeah, from an airport. And he said that he had heard from a source from close to the Jayhawks that was not, in fact, going to happen today. That was bad information. Gary Bedore, the Kansas City Star, reached out to Bill Self, and Self responded. This is almost certainly, in fact, the ESPN article does say it was a text. Self's comment on the rumors today was, quote, no news, all BS, bad info. So that's what we've got on Bill Self.
Yeah.
Notably, none of that precludes the possibility of a press conference tomorrow
or Friday.
Yeah. So like that's not us. We're not being coy and we're not hiding anything from you. If we knew something, believe me, if I knew before anyone else concrete information about what Bill Self was going to do, I wouldn't shut up about it. It'd be the whole 3 hours today if I had that inside information. I don't. But obviously, there's a little bit of, like we talked about yesterday, there is certainly the possibility that Bill Self announces his retirement as Kansas' head coach. And like you said, Kansas kind of needs to know now. Michael Swain made it very clear on yesterday's Jayhawk Weekly that with the portal opening the day after the national championship game, you have to know who your coach is going to be. You can't wait for Bill Self to hem and haw and make a decision. You kind of got to know. And now that North Carolina is hiring a coach, which is one of maybe 2 jobs in America that I think you can argue with a straight face is better than the Kansas job. Duke and North Carolina are the only jobs in America that I would say definitively are better jobs than Kansas. You can maybe make some cases for some others, but the only ones I feel like I would concede the point are Duke and North Carolina. So 2 of the 3 best jobs in America might come open. If you're Kansas and your job is going to come open and you've got to now compete against North Carolina to hire a coach, because it sounds like for the first time since Dean Smith, North Carolina is going outside the program to hire a head coach, outside of the family, as it were. You need to know pretty quickly if that's something that you also need to do if you're Travis Goff at Kansas, because you're swimming in the same waters. Like, it's one thing if you're the only school with that kind of pull going into the coaching search, and you know, like, okay, we're gonna get interviews, we're gonna get FaceTime with people that nobody else is gonna get because this is the kind of job we've got. Well, North Carolina is a similar kind of job. So now, if there wasn't urgency on Kansas and Bill Self's part to make a decision and move forward one way or the other, there certainly is now. Yeah. There were some early rumors that North Carolina had reached out to former Butler head coach, current Celtics vice president of basketball ops, Brad Stevens, about returning to the college ranks. Stevens has shot those down. The 2 names I saw in The Athletic as the names at the top of North Carolina's list were Arizona coach Tommy Lloyd and Chicago Bulls head coach Billy Donovan, who has resisted the call to return to the college game for a very long time. but he's never had a worse NBA team than this, and like a worse long-term outlook in Chicago than what they've got right now, unless they win the draft lottery. Like, that is a messy situation. It's a lousy roster. And Billy Donovan, I couldn't believe this. He's only 60. Like, I know that's not a spring chicken, but it's also a lot younger than I thought he was. If he wants to go back to college, maybe North Carolina's a job that gets him going back to college. So those were the two names that came up. But again, like, in a theoretical world where Kansas is going to also have a coaching search, you're going to be calling a lot of the same guys. And you don't want to have to settle for your second choice because North Carolina is also looking to hire a guy. So Kansas has to know. They got to know pretty quick one way or another. So where yesterday I kind of thought, maybe they can, Bill can take his time and talk this through and maybe not make a decision until next week, maybe even around the Final Four. I think they have to know now. And I think it's for Kansas's sake and for Bill Self's sake. If he's going to return, it's for his sake. You got to keep his roster together. And if he's not going to return, it's for Kansas's sake because now they've got legitimate competition, a program that could hire a coach that they would want to hire, which, again, there are not a lot of programs that could say that. Next headline here on 580 Sports Talk. For the first time, the NFL season will begin on a Wednesday. That announced by the NFL today, September 9th, Seattle, Washington, Lumen Field, the defending Super Bowl champion, Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks won the Super Bowl, man. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Anyway, the Seahawks are going to open their season at home against an opponent to be determined Wednesday, September 9th. Roger Goodell wants a Wednesday night game so bad. He wants consistent Wednesday night football so bad. And with J.C. Treader now running the Players Association, how much you want to bet he gets it? He'll get it. He'll get it. He'll get his 18th game. He'll get everything he wants because the Players Union was already broken, and then they re-promoted useless stooge J.C. Treader to run the operation. It's the worst Players Union in sports, and they kind of get what they deserve a little bit. But anyhow, Wednesday night football to open the 2026 season. Seahawks against an opponent to be determined Wednesday, September 9th. Why Wednesday? Well, that's because the 49ers and the Rams are going to play in Melbourne, Australia on Thursday night, September 10th.
In America, Thursday night.
Yes. Critical to note that the 8:30 Eastern time kickoff for the primetime television window on Thursday night is 10 a.m. Friday, Melbourne time. What part of growing the game is having a sporting event on a Friday at 10 in the morning? We don't even do that here. What do we play at 10 in the morning local time on a Friday?
I don't know, but it sucks that they can't play on a Friday or a Saturday because it would make better sense here. Like where it's a Friday night into a Saturday.
Yeah. Like
sometimes you got early games. You got 11 a.m. kickoffs and college football.
They're still doing a Brazil game, right?
I think so.
So, yeah, Roger Goodell is just like absolutely salivating. He gets Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night to start the NFL season.
Yeah.
And in 3 different countries. Oh, my God. Roger Goodell is just insufferable right now. Just the ear-to-ear grin on his face thinking about we could dominate Wednesday nights now. You don't need every night of my week, NFL. You really and truly don't.
I love how it took COVID for that to happen, right? And then just a few years later, they figured out a way to actually make it be a scheduled game on a Wednesday.
Right. Right.
Like it had to happen during COVID because they had to move games. And here we are, 5-6 years after COVID, and it's now a part on the schedule.
So Paul brought this up in the YouTube live chat. We have a texter from the 785 who brought up this possibility, and I brought it up a couple of weeks back as well, in fact. The possibility that the season opening opponent for the Seahawks on banner night could be the Chiefs. Paul says Chiefs are on Seattle's schedule. Return of the Mahomes. Kenneth Walker back facing his old team. High-profile matchup. So many rings. I smell potential. Text for 785 says, I bet the Chiefs and the Seahawks will be that Wednesday night game. The only reason it wouldn't be, and I know we saw some really tantalizing footage today out there on the internet of Patrick Mahomes throwing a football with a big sleeve on his left leg. Looking good. looking good. Look like he's moving around okay. I think the NFL very much wants Chiefs Seahawks in prime time. That's obviously going to be a game that they would like to showcase. And if they could guarantee that Patrick Mahomes will start week 1, I don't think it would be a thought. If Mahomes were not coming off of injury, it would be the biggest no-brainer of all time. But he's coming off of injury. I think they might hold that game, or whatever broadcast network might decide that they want that in their America's Game of the Week window. That might be the reserved game for like CBS or Fox. But yeah. I think it's going to be Chicago. I think it's going to be the Bears, because that would fit the mold of Super Bowl champion against like the team that's next, like the team that's on the come up in the same conference. Like, remember when Kansas City opened against Houston that one year when they had, it was COVID year.
Yeah.
They won the title and they opened the COVID year, empty stadium. The Nasty Man was there still. It was a playoff rematch. Detroit, when they opened against Detroit 2 years ago, the Kadarius Toney pees down his leg game for the Chiefs. Like, I think it'll be a team like that. I think Chicago makes the most sense. If it can't be a division rival, and it can't because they're playing in Australia the next day, I think it's going to be the Bears. That would be my guess. I think it would be awesome if it were the Chiefs, and if the NFL could get a guarantee that Mahomes would start that game, I think they would not even hesitate to make that game Seahawks Chiefs in the opener. But with the uncertainty about Mahomes, I think they might hold that one for a little later in the season. All right, you got another headline for us?
Yeah, the NBA has approved seeking bids and potential ownership groups for expansion teams in Las Vegas and Seattle, expected to fetch $7 to $10 billion a team as they flood the market with yet 2 more teams in their league. 2 more teams in a league that doesn't have enough good teams. Yeah. Like, what's the biggest topic of conversation in the NBA right now? It's nothing to do with the Thunder. It's nothing to do with the Spurs. It's nothing to do with the race in the Eastern Conference. It's all about how bad so many of these teams are and how we have to do something to disincentivize tanking. You know what the solution to that is? Nobody wants to hear this. Nobody wants to have this conversation. But you want to disincentivize tanking for draft position? Get rid of the draft. Yeah. Get rid of the draft. Let the players decide where they want to play. Get rid of the draft. If there's no draft, there's no incentive to be bad, because then, like, okay, you're AJ DeBonsa or you're Darren Peterson. I don't want to play for the Wizards. I want to play for the Jazz. I don't know. People might want to play for the Wizards with what they're building.
Well, I mean, DC's a cool city. Maybe you've got some East Coast ties. Like there would be some players who that would be appealing to. The thought of, okay, you're going to be our franchise guy. We're going to build around you, and also we've got a ton of room under the salary cap, so we're going to pay you this. Okay, fine. Maybe that is appealing. But I just remember Steve Francis like literally crying when the Vancouver Grizzlies drafted him all the way back in the day. Like, drafts are anti-labor, and if you want to disincentivize tanking, if you want to incentivize teams being well-run, striving to win organizations, because that is what it's like any business. Yeah. What kind of business attracts good employees? Ones that are successful, ones that are profitable, ones that do good work, ones that put forward a good image. Like, nobody's going to go work for the Washington Wizards of Telecom. Sorry, Spencer. I know I'm killing your Wizards right now, but like, you get you get why I'm using them as kind of the point. Nobody wants to go work for like the Utah Jazz of restaurants. You don't want to lose 60 games in the kitchen. So yeah, you want to just incentivize tanking. The solution is abolishing the draft, and that goes for every sport. Abolish the draft. No drafts.
Didn't they used to not have drafts? Like a long time ago, and they used to just get like rights. You could sign away your rights to a team.
I don't know.
I'm thinking of free agency.
Well, there wasn't always a baseball draft. You signed players. Yeah. Like the baseball draft is a creation of, I believe the first one was in 1960. It was in the 60s was the first MLB entry draft. Now I want to go look. And 1965 was the first Major League Baseball entry draft. The Kansas City A's had the number 1 overall pick. In fact, they took Rick Monday, who had a really good career. Anyway, I think that the modern NBA has always had a draft. The modern NFL has always had a draft. The modern NHL has always had a draft. It's just been how you redistributed talent to lesser franchises. Like that was, okay, you were bad, but this was your consolation prize. And now it's like, well, why try to be good if we can be bad and we can be rewarded? And the NBA then put in the draft lottery, which that was not a creation until the mid 80s. It used to be like a coin flip. Forget who it was. I think it was the Suns lost a coin flip. They ended up with a dude named Neil Walk, and the Bucks ended up with Lou Alcindor. I mean, the NBA draft is the most confusing draft of all time to me because you can trade picks, but nothing's official till after you draft the player, which is really annoying to me as a casual NBA follower when that doesn't work elsewhere in any other league. Right? Like you go up to the draft and it's like, well, everybody knows when when Washington traded all those picks in 2012 to be the number 1 overall pick with the Rams, I think everybody knew Washington was 1, and it was and Roger Goodell said with the number 1 pick of the Robert Griffin III. It's like he still says the team that's not picking him gets the pick. That's always confusing me. Yeah, they got to put on the wrong hat.
Yeah,
the NBA draft can we just
modernize it?
I say get rid of it. You don't want teams to tank. You want teams to have to always be trying to put a best foot forward. Get rid of the draft. That's how you fix it, Adam Silver. That's how you fix it. Nobody wants to have that conversation. That's how you fix it. That'll do it for our headlines. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, I gave you my Major League Baseball predictions. I think I'm already regretting them, but I want to hear the rest of the crew and what they think is going to happen in this Major League Baseball season. That's coming up on 580 Sports Talk. 5:36 on 580 Sports Talk. We're getting closer to baseball. There's a game tonight by the Bay. The Yankees and the Giants starting the Major League Baseball season. 7:05 first pitch. Fire up your Netflix if you want to watch that one tonight. 7:05 Central first pitch is entirely reasonable. I'll say that. That's 5:05 Pacific time, but this generally when like Sunday night baseball starts. So,
well, I think too, it's opening day. So opening day games are always odd times.
yeah, no, that's true.
Like 5:05 for a late afternoon, early game in the Bay. Like, I think that's a good time.
How hard?
Not for traffic, but like for a game.
How hard is it to just have one opening day where all 30 teams play and everybody gets to celebrate the start of a new season together?
Remember
and just
they
have
used to do
games
that
all day. Yes, I do remember. I do remember. It was glorious. It was wonderful. I gave you my predictions for the 2026 season earlier on the program today. I predicted that the Mariners, Royals, and Orioles would win divisions in the American League, while the Yankees, Red Sox, and Tigers took wild card spots. Predicted that the National League division winners would be the Dodgers, Cubs, and Mets, while the Phillies, Pirates, and Padres all took wild card spots. And I predicted that the Mets would beat the Orioles in a rematch of the 1969 World Series. Because, number one, you can't predict October. It's useless to even try. Number two, I really like the Mets' young pitching. I think they kind of remind me a little bit of the 2016 Mets or the 15 Mets that went to the series, lost to Kansas City. They got a bunch of big power arms, like Nolan McLean is next. Jonah Tong is going to be in the bigs. Freddie Peralta is not young, but he's a stud. I like their pitching. They got Lindor. I think the Dodgers are going to wear out. I think it's hard to win 3 in a row, especially they got an older core of position players. I think they're going to fade a little bit in October. I don't think they're as inevitable as everybody else thinks they are. So I go with the Mets in the National League. I'm buying the dip on the O's. They were really good in 2023 and 2024. And then last year they were like, well, what if we just didn't have any good pitchers? What if we decided that starting pitching wasn't important? And they won 75 games. So this year they went and got Shane Baz. They went and got Chris Bassett. Taylor Rogers was really good for them last season. They got Kyle Bradish back, who was really good for them before. Oh, the camera just took a dive on Spencer.
Well, that's what happens when it's 80 degrees in the studio.
That'd be like that sometime. Anyhow, hard to recover from that. World Series. The Brendan's picks again, the Dodgers over the Mariners in the World Series, has the Royals as a wild. Well, you're gonna keep you on stage so people can hear us. But anyway, go ahead with your prediction.
I'm a little flustered at the moment.
I understand. I understand. Let me help you. Let me walk you through these.
I got it. I had to pull it up. In the AL East, I have the Yankees winning the division. In the AL Central, I have the Kansas City Royals winning the division. I'm just going to go ahead and say it now because I don't think I'll be here Friday. 96 wins.
Whoa, 96. Whoa. Wowzers.
Yeah. I think Jack gets going. Vinny gets going. think it's the Italians leading the way with Bobby Witt.
So Joe Sheehan, longtime baseball writer, Baseball Prospectus, Sports Illustrated, now does his own newsletter. He published his Royals preview for free today on his website. And he does say that he loves the Royals upside, and he could see them getting into the mid-90s.
I think
so. You're buying all the upside in the world on the Royals.
I think Michael Garcia,
that's his name.
He builds off this MVP World Baseball Classic and has another phenomenal year. So you've got 3 infielders that are amazing. You've got Jack Caglione coming up, and you've got a catching duo that your captain, obviously. Salvi, I think, might take a little step back, but you got Carter Jensen there to be in the spot. My AL West winner is going to be the Mariners.
Okay, so we're all on the Mariners.
And then my wild card teams, the Red Sox, Blue Jays, and this is a hard one. I was fighting between the Orioles and the Tigers here.
Mm-hmm.
But then I realized that I'm not going to let 4 AL East teams make the playoffs. And I think down the stretch of the season with a rookie manager, the Orioles are not going to.
Okay,
they're going to miss some steps.
So
it's learning process.
So I'm
the learning curve.
So I'm the lone wolf on the O's. I think I'm also the only one of you has the Blue Jays missing the playoffs. I think they took a step back offensively. I think they're going to find it really hard emotionally to have the same kind of season as they did last year, coming as close as they did to a title. Anyhow, your National League division winners and wild cards.
Mets. I think the Mets have built a team that they are going to explode. I mean, obviously they're really good. The Cubs and the Dodgers. Wild cards, Phillies, Brewers, and Braves sneak in.
I like that pick. I'm really worried. They've dealt with a lot of injuries already. They've lost 3 of their best starting pitchers early this year already to the IL, and Jurickson and Profar suspended the entire year. That's not a great start, but they still have Ronald Acuna. They still have Chris Sale, still Austin Riley, Matt Olson. There's still a lot of talent there. I could definitely see them bouncing back and making the playoffs this year. I don't hate that pick at all.
My ALCS, the Yankees over the Royals.
Okay.
Not pleasant here in the studio, right? But I think the Royals just one more year, I think that they'll get there. And then the NLCS is Dodgers over the Mets. And then I think the Yankees finally get there. The Dodgers just can't put it together in the World Series. I didn't put in there the game, but I think it's going to go 7.
So you've got the Yankees winning it all in the Fall Classic. As far as award picks, I think we are unanimous. Bobby Witt Jr. AL MVP, Shohei Ohtani NL MVP. I think that is unanimous among the staff. You're going with repeats for the Cy Young winners as well.
Yeah, I was right on one last year, Paul Skeens. I think Paul builds off of it, and I think it's literally down to the Braves and the Pirates getting to the playoffs.
It feels kind of silly to not pick Skeens and Skubal because they are so obviously the best pitchers in their respective leagues. Brendan and I both picking Christopher Sanchez of the Phillies in the National League. Brendan's got Max Fried, who won 19 games for the Yankees, starts for them tonight. As his AL Cy Young. I'm going with Garrett Crochet of the Red Sox.
I had him last year. He was a runner-up, right?
Sanchez?
Crochet.
Oh, Crochet? Yeah, I think he was. I believe he was the runner-up. As far as rookies of the year go, I like Brendan's National League pick, Pirates hurler Bubba Chandler. That's a neat pick. He's going with the White Sox Japanese slugger Munetaka Murakami as his AL Rookie of the Year. Who are your Rookie of the Year picks?
NL Rookie of the Year, Big 12 zone, J.J. Weatherholt.
West Virginia Mountaineer, J.J. Weatherholt of the Cardinals. He was my pick as well.
He had an amazing spring.
Mm-hmm.
And my AL is Trey Yasevich. Is that who said?
Yes.
Of the Blue Jays.
Star of the World Series last year. Starting the year on the IL, but, that's all right. Sometimes guys don't start the year with the big club and still win the Rookie of the Year, so he's certainly got a chance.
Didn't Bryce Harper win Rookie of the Year? And he was.
I think that's correct.
And he was down in AAA to start the year.
Mike Trout, same thing. I went in the American League with Kevin McGonigal, the shortstop for the Tigers. A lot of Royals optimism in the live chat on YouTube. Mark says 89 wins for the Royals. Vance has them winning 88. Jeffrey says they'll win 90, be competitive in the playoffs. Mark B is waffling a bit, says he thinks they'll get to 90. Whether 90 or 91, he can't decide. Texas from the 785 says they'll make the World Series where they will play the Phillies. He thinks this is the swan song for the Phillies. Their roster is all in. So lots of Royals optimism. We'll look to harness that and really let it out over the next couple of days as we get closer to Royals opening day. How much closer? Well, we're 2 days away. We'll continue the countdown when we come back on 580 Sports Talk. I-48 on 580 Sports Talk. We are 2 days away from opening day for the Kansas City Royals, and their current number 2, Tyler Tolbert, made the team today. Wasn't sure they'd have enough room on the 26-man for him and Nick Lofton. Thought there was one spot for a utility guy, but then Michael Massey got hurt. He'll start on the 10-day IL, which meant both Lofton and Tolbert made the team. First Royal to wear the number 2 was Ron Hansen back in 1972. Left side infielder. He won the Rookie of the Year in 1960 with the Orioles. Didn't amount to much as a Royal. Other notable Royals to wear the number 2. Freddie Patek, of course, shortstop for those great 70s teams. Honest Concepcion won it on the 1985 World Series champions. Kevin Seitzer wore it for a brief spell in his excellent Royals career. So did Brent Mayne. The very fast Joey Gathright. He might have been the fastest Royal of all time before Terrence Gore showed up. The late, great Terrence Gore. I think before him, the fastest Royal ever might have been Joey Gathright. Unfortunately, you could not steal first base, so Joey Gathright didn't have much of a career. Of course, Alcides Escobar, probably the greatest Royal to wear number 2, 2015 champion, and leadoff man for that 2015 championship team. So that's a little number 2 history for you for the Kansas City Royals. With the 26-man roster finalized, I think what really filled me with enough confidence to take them to win the Central, which I am doing. They've got enough righty-lefty balance for me to feel like they're not going to burn a lot of at-bats on bad matchups. They're not going to have to sacrifice left-handed bats to really good left-handed pitchers on a night-in, night-out basis. And look, like, you're not going to take Vinny out of the lineup against most lefties, and ideally, you don't take Kaggs out of the lineup against a lot of lefties. But you can take Kyle Isbell out of the lineup against lefties now. You get Lane Thomas in there, and that's going to be a lot more productive. Starling Marte can DH instead of having to have Carter Jensen or Kaggs DH against a tough lefty, and those should be better at bats. Having a switch hitter like Isaac Collins you can plug into the lineup is going to help you get some advantageous at bats. So I really like the balance of this team, and I think that there's a lot of high-end talent on this roster, like a lot of star talent. Witt, Garcia, Vinny Stick, certainly Salvi's still a 30-homer guy. Kaggs and Jensen have the chance to be good right away. But it's giving fewer at-bats to guys who kill you. That, to me, I feel like the Royals are better positioned to give fewer at-bats this year to the Drew Waterses and the Kevin Biggios and the Mark Cannas. And I could be wrong. Like, Starling Marte could be cooked. He could be totally cooked, and he's DFA'd in 2 months. You got nothing left. No juice in the tank, and you're back to square one with a right-handed DH. I don't think that's the case. I still think he's got a little bit left in the tank, but I could be wrong. But on paper, I think the left-right balance of this team makes a lot more sense, and it's going to give them a chance to have more productive offense. I'm not sure I can get all the way to believing it'll be a top 10 offense, but even if it's a top half offense, that and a top half pitching staff, that's going to get you to October. So that's what I think with the 26-man roster. Also, it'll be very interesting to see how Matt Cottrell manages the bullpen early on, because Carlos Estevez is still only throwing 89 miles an hour. And that's closer to what I was throwing in high school than what Carlos Estevez ought to be throwing. So that's not what anybody wants. But he got 2 days to find his fastball before the games count for real. We'll take one last break. We'll come back, and we will wrap things up for this edition of 580 Sports Talk. Let's wrap up this Wednesday edition of 580 Sports Talk with a final word. Spencer Dupuis.
Yeah, Royals getting ready to start the season. I think it's one of those ones where we talk about not making a lot of moves in the offseason comparatively to how people may have thought they wanted to use some of the money that they had. But I think, a good option in the bullpen this year is going to be Matt Strahm, bringing him back to a guy that was on Kansas City early in his career who had success with the Phillies. I think is going to be good for this bullpen who it seems like they're just building guys, and hopefully Carlos Estevez. I can never get that right. Hopefully he can get his fastball back up to where it should be. And you got Lucas Erceg, and you've just got guys in that bullpen that can throw gas if they can. I think it's good for them. And you got Bobby You got Michael, you got Vinny, you got Jack, you got Carter, you got Salvi, you got the boys. The boys are ready to play some ball.
Indeed.
Also, shout out to my mom. Happy late birthday.
Oh,
Forgot to wish her happy birthday on the air yesterday.
Yes, let's all wish a happy late birthday. Happy belated birthday to Spencer's mom. Final word for me today. If his medicals come back clean and he tests well at his pro day, I think I might lean in the direction that Jordan Tyson would be the best wide receiver fit for the Chiefs at the number 9 overall pick in the upcoming NFL draft. He's not as tall as Carnell Tate, and he's maybe not as shifty in the open field as Mekhi Lemon, but he's a receiver that can do a little bit of everything and has that ability at 6'2" to go and get it on a downfield ball. He's got a great catch radius. He makes a ton of plays. We saw him in the Big 12, how good he can be. He's tough as nails. He played through injury until he couldn't play anymore. I think you could really sell me on that fit. Ohio State wide receivers have been a little bit of a mixed bag in the NFL. Obviously, Jackson Smith-Njigba has worked out wonderfully. Just got his big extension done and made official today. Highest paid receiver in the NFL. But like Marvin Harrison Jr. has been a letdown. Chris Olave has been really good, but Emeka Egbuka might not be. So it's kind of been hit and miss for those Ohio State wide receivers. So maybe that scares you off of Tate a little bit. Jordan Tyson, to me, is kind of that happy medium between what Lemon could bring and what Tate could bring. And if his medicals come back clean, I kind of like that at number 9 for the Chiefs. We'll be back tomorrow from 3 until 6. For Spencer Dupuis, I am Dan Lucero. This is 580 Sports Talk. Good night.